And welcome into this Zoom video presentation presented by Pressbox and PressBoxOnline.com. I'm Stan the Fan. Gary Stein is with me in the house, and our very special guest tonight is the head football coach of Towson University, where he played and has now been the coach. Is it 11 years, Rob Ambrose?
This will make 12.
Okay. And I got to give you credit. When I first met you, I always liked you, but I looked at those first couple years. You were 9-33 at Towson for your first, I think it was 3 seasons, right? Or is it 4 seasons? You are now 66.
Probably 4. Yeah.
You're 66 and 64. There's an awful lot of coaches that start 9-33. They never last 125 more games. But not only did you last the games, you really turned Towson football's fortunes around.
Oh, thank you, Stan. That's very nice of you to say. Let's just say that at the time I inherited the program, the institution had finally figured out that it needed to invest in itself a little bit to have the degree of success that could provide them a spotlight that would shine on the rest of the university. So very lucky to have that kind of guidance from guys like Bob Corrett that saw what, I think a bunch of people saw what we always could be, but Bob put his money where his mouth was and decided we were going to invest in it, and the results paid.
Now, you also, Mike Waddell was the athletic director for a good time there, but Tim Leonard came in. And is Tim the one that gave you the key extension that really said you were going to be there a while?
He did. You know, I think I got one from Mike in 11, you know, after we won the conference title and went to the playoffs for the first time. And in 13, we went around again, and, you know, people decided they might want to keep me here for a while. And being the family guy that I am, you know, in my profession, especially the Division I college football profession, guys don't stay around. It's 18 months to 2 years, and it takes its toll on your children. It really does. And in a business where you don't grow roots, my kids had a chance to put both feet on the ground and grow up in a town that I kind of dig and made me. So and my daughter now goes to Towson University, and I couldn't be more proud. It was her decision, not mine. But the things that transpired allowed my family to be more of a family and not just kids of football coaches.
Hey, Rob, let me jump in on that, and then get to kind of the present, because we're in a crazy situation for everybody right now, especially a college football coach. But you are a family man, and we know that. We've been friends, and we've interviewed you for years now. When you were at UConn as an offensive coordinator, that was really your first time away from this area. And I'm wondering what type of an effect that had on your young family when you did that.
What was it? I was the head coach at Catholic University when my daughter was born, and because my
Still
wife
fairly in the area, though. Yeah.
My wife worked at University of Maryland downtown, so I drove to DC every day.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone knows how crazy that traffic is. And before we went to UConn, the time away when I first took that job, that was challenging. Was not nearly as challenging as taking this job after the International Bowl and then having my kids finish their spring in their school. And my wife and I decided would have been a smart thing for them. That was 6 months away from your heart and soul is really, really hard. And moving forward, you know, the kids are now older. My son's going to be a senior in high school. My daughter's going to be junior in college. And I don't really have to, you know, I can start thinking differently professionally with that being done, but it's one of the greater challenges that we've ever had as a family.
I think it's often overlooked, you know, obviously in the era of sports talk and all that, all we're worried about is wins and losses. We never take into account the personal, you know, effects that a job like that has. But moving forward, I have a couple of notes here on my other computer that I wanted to run by you real quick. And I wrote these down, okay, but you have lived them over the last 3 or 4 months. And here they are in, I think, order, okay? Spring practice. So let's go back to March, right? Yeah. Spring practice interrupted by COVID, okay? Everyone's health is obviously the biggest concern. Student athletes had to adapt to online learning. For athletes who are used to regiments and schedules, that's got to be especially hard. You had to adapt to online teaching. You're also used to regimens and schedules. Again, hard. Racial unrest. Towson team meetings now, open dialogue, listening, feeling, right? Doing all of that. Just talk to me about the last 3 months and what it's been like for you and all these things that happened.
I can promise you that none of this was on the menu when they offered me this job. And it wasn't on the menu for any of us. And, I've used the word unprecedented more in the last couple of months than I probably have in the last 10 years of my life. And when you're living on an emotional and intellectual yo-yo every day, it really, really takes its toll. I could not be more proud of how my kids responded to this ridiculously crazy scenario. Student athletes, so let's go there first. Students, what they did as students is amazing, truly amazing. I can tell you personally, I don't want to do online learning. You and me in the same room. I need that physical interaction. I need the body language of a teacher when the teacher teaches, and it helps me understand the content. And there will never be anything that replaces in-person communication. It won't. You can supplement it, but it will never replace it because it won't be the same. It'll never be as good. With that being said, kids who never wanted to take online classes, guys who took online classes went, Coach, I can't do this. Got to put them back in a regular class, right? Nobody has a choice. Highest GPA in the history of recorded time Towson football.
Really? Congratulations.
3.18 GPA. And that's a credit to the kids and the coaches. What they have done together is it's humbling. It really is.
Gary and I had a 3.1 if you added our cums up together.
Combined. Yeah.
If you think about what the coaches really like, we're constantly preaching the ability to overcome obstacles, to overcome adversity, to look at adversity, laugh at it, just go, okay, something I'm going around or over or under, and to have this as for the rest of their life, as hard as this is, the tangible example of their academic and I will say athletic successes, despite the fact that we lost spring football during the middle of a pandemic, is going to create a level of confidence that these kids would never have had. So you can talk about what all the things that were bad, that were challenging, that were difficult. And here we are on the back end of it. And I probably got a team that communicates better together on a regular basis than I did when they saw each other in the locker room every day. When you have that casualness, you may not stop and converse. You're like, I'll get to it. Or the conversation will be overcome in a group and there'll never be that interaction. But now I'm a guy who needs to talk to that guy. I got to talk to that guy. The DB needs to talk to this class and this workout. And hey, we were trying to do this workout. How did you do it? We don't have any weights. Oh, we pushed a truck. Cool. Great idea. Like the creativity that has been spawned and continued the entire time with their workouts, I am blown away. And so necessity is the mother of invention. Oh, we have invented a lot. And I like Zoom, WebEx, Teams, Google. I've learned I've learned stuff I don't want to learn, but I'm getting good at it now. And so are the kids. And it's going to give them an opportunity to have success in the future in a world that's going this way anyhow. So if it ever happens again, I would root for everybody to like work out a lot, eat better, drink less, and take care of your body a little more. Because for a while, all of us, I believe, thought this was going to be a hiccup, and anybody can tread water for a week or two. But when you start getting to a month or two or 3, the challenge becomes harder when you're treading water, and you really need to start thinking about how to take care of yourself. And we've added a mental health component to what we're doing just for them, because they're in the same spot we are as coaches.
Rob, to follow up on that, when this happened and you got this, the preparations for 2020 season interrupted, I'm sure back in March, you were never thinking, well, next September, we'll have to face playing fanless games, most likely. And at your level, I mean, it's staggering when you think of Major League Baseball having no fans, the NBA coming back, no fans, NFL's talking about it as well. But for football at your level, how much pressure does that put on administrators to keep football alive at your level? And, you know, I respect you a great deal. I know you work as hard as a Randy Edsel, a Mike Locksley, or a Nick Saban. But football really doesn't mean as much at Towson as it does at Alabama. Are you feeling any pressure that this is a critical time for the Division One lower members of the tree?
Somewhat. I think that the you want to talk about versions. The higher limbs of the tree need the lower limbs of the tree, if that's the analogy, for them to survive too. So we're all in this together at the Division One level. The real challenge is going to be with the pandemic, and everyone, be it a state or an institution, has a plan for the amount of money that's coming in and where that money is supposed to go. And that plan and projection is 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And that's life as we know it is now over. So budgetary projections at every college in America have all been blown to bits. It's like a nuclear bomb. And the more challenging it is to be able to get kids to campus, to educate them, to house them, to feed them in a way that they pay for their tuition, that pays the bills. So it's not just at Towson or Maryland, or every school in America is having this issue. If they, I'm an English guy now, but so I'm going to use letters. But if they were expecting a number of kids, and a number of kids equal to B amount of dollars, then C, they knew how to disperse that. They don't know how many A kids are going to be. So therefore they don't know how much money there is. So the goal, everybody's going to have a budget cut. If there's not an institution in America, it's not going to have kind of budget cuts, furloughs, layoffs, hiring freezes. That's going to happen everywhere. And it's going to affect everything, not just Division I football or FBS, FCS. It's going to affect art departments and business schools and chemistry labs and everything. The state of higher education is really in an adverse situation right now. And it's going to take some great navigation and some great leadership to kind of manage the shoal, to stay out of the shallow water and keep this ship afloat.
But you get the sense that Tim Leonard and his boss, the president of the school, are behind football at Towson.
Oh, I believe that completely. I think that comes, but it doesn't just, I think that my AD and my president are doing a fantastic job in the midst of the most ridiculous, unplanned for thing you could possibly imagine. The shake the magic 8 ball, that's not in there. And the spin the wheel of disaster, this wasn't on there either. And they're doing a great job navigating this. But, we're getting direction from a governor who clearly has a good plan, who has done a great job through the University System of Maryland. And all those guidelines and procedures and goals are being passed and down the line. And everyone wants this. We have created an educational system with the University System of Maryland and all its entirety of athletics and arts and science and all. Education in the state of Maryland, higher education in the state of Maryland is pretty impressive, and all things go along with it. We want to keep that package together. Athletics at each institution has the ability to, one, shine the light on all the other great things in the institution, bring in a little bit of money, but it also has the ability to bring people together for a common cause. And nobody wants to lose that. But I guarantee you, and mark my words, this will be the most challenging year of college football in a long, long time.
So
maybe my lifetime.
Yeah, this is going to seem like a silly / stupid question, but I'm asking it, so par for the course. Are you sure you're going to play this year?
Am I sure?
Yeah.
I believe so.
I know that's the plan.
That's the plan.
Right.
I'm bringing my kids. I'm bringing 70 kids back on July 6th with the understanding and the plan that has come from above me that we're playing our full regular season schedule, which opens with College Park down there.
Right. So one of the reasons I asked that, and this may just be because it wasn't updated, I have no idea. I looked at your website today, the Towson football page, and I looked at the schedule, and all the game times are TBA.
Correct.
So usually at this time of the year, I would think, and again, if I'm wrong, please correct. At this time of the year, those game times would be set.
For most of the games.
Right, for most of the games. Okay, I get a TV game here, there. Okay, whatever, I got it. So that, I mean, again, I'm totally out in left field with this.
Okay. This has to do with some degree of backstage organizational management, that the travel for all of these games now has to be a consideration. Instead of what time is the best to get the most fans there, to get instead of that being the number one consideration,
Gotcha.
We want to play the game. And how do we play the game safely? And travel is an issue. So you will probably see, and this is a challenge for the TV. The TV people are having the difficult time with this, because the earlier we play the game, the earlier we can leave. There will be more busing this year than has ever been before. Nobody wants their kids consistently coming back to campus at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning.
Gotcha.
So you will see more noon games than you have seen in, like, you usually have staggered 12, 2, 4. Like,
yep.
Everybody's going to try to play earlier games.
Wow, it's interesting.
The details of this still haven't come out yet. Like, I'm going to go back to March. When all this went down, what we knew, or what we thought we knew as fact, was no way anywhere close to what it was 3 weeks later. And it's no way closer than it is 3 months later. So we all understand the fluidity of the situation. Student athlete welfare and health is number one. We want to have the seasons. We want to play the games. We want these kids to be able to compete, but we want to be able to take care of them as best we can, knowing that we are accepting some degree of risk by doing any of this stuff. But how can we mitigate the damages or the possible damages? So the fluidity of this needs to stay fluid. We need to not set these game times yet, because that we're creating problems that we don't need. We need to find some more answers before we can figure out how we could jump over those problems when we get there.
That's fascinating. Rob, the Colonial Association, moving back to last season to sort of preview this a little bit, assuming there is a season. You had one really great team during the regular season, James Madison University. They were 14-2, 8-0 in the conference. But after that, I know Albany was pretty good. Villanova, New Hampshire, Towson, Maine, Elon, Richmond, Delaware, William and Mary were all within 2 games of one another, 5-3, 4-4, or 3-5. Has that conference ever been that consistently good from top to bottom?
Yeah, mostly every year.
Okay. I had never seen so many bunched in the middle there.
When I took the job, through the grapevine, I kind of heard that the reason Towson was in the CAA was because it was a mid-Atlantic school of similar quality to all these schools. But basically, they could all play another conference game that was easy to travel to, and most likely they were going to win. After 3 years, we kind of blew up that dumpster a little bit.
Right.
So, and to be honest, our change really facilitated a change within the league. Like, oh my God, if Towson's going to be good, then we better invest in us. And it was all across the board. So basically, we took a really good league who had a chance to win the national championship, where at the point where I took the job, maybe 2 teams, 3 teams had a legitimate chance to make it to the national championship. I don't know the stat, but it's some ridiculous stat. Like in the last 10, 15 years, 75 outside of North Dakota State, 75% of the CAA teams have been the other team. Like, it's not Delaware's done it. We did it. JMU's done it. Like, it's not Richmond's done it. It's not like just one of us. When I was talking to Mike London when he was at Richmond and I had just taken the job, he said the parity in this league was good, but it was getting better. He goes, Rob, we won the national championship. We didn't win the conference. What's that say?
Yeah.
This year, your club last year was 7-5 for the season, 4-4 in the conference. You went into the last game of the season thinking if we win this, we're in the playoffs. You played Elon, and I forget, the game was in Elon, right?
No,
College. It was in Towson.
Yeah.
Okay. You lost that game. How is the club's mindset? And I know all that's happened since then, but where do you think your club is? Do you have a way to gauge it at all?
Oh, sure. I talk to them. I talk to the kids. I just listen. And you do this long enough, you hear enough from these kids, you tend to pick it up. And I'm always preaching a little bit because, being a Division I athlete's kind of hard. You're student first, and that's a full-time job if you want to be good at it. and then you're an athlete, and that's a full-time job if you want to be good at it. So you're doing 2 full-time jobs in college while you're growing, while you're learning, when you might be smart, but you're not that wise. So it's a challenge. And the weight of that weighs on kids sometimes, and they can feel like playing football or being a Division I athlete is an obligation. Every guy who ever strapped it up knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. But for those of us who have had it taken away from us, either permanently with my injury or a situation like this, all of a sudden you realize there's a huge difference between opportunity and obligation. And you love football, but you have no idea how much you love football or the guys you play it with or the schools you play for until somebody takes it away from you. I don't think this team's ever been closer. I think that they have had time to sit and ponder what we haven't done and why we haven't done it. They've had time to ponder what we did do and how we did that. And I think they have a real good idea how good they can be. We just need somebody to let us out of the cage, let us play.
Rob, I want to ask you from a coach's perspective, the complexion of the team, how it changes when you lose a star player. And let me go back for just a minute. When you were an assistant at Towson back in the day, you had one of the top running backs in the country, Tony Vincent, who went on to the NFL, had a great career there. Just more recently, when you went to the FCS championship game, you had another record-breaking running back who also went to the NFL, in Terrence West. Last year, you had Tom Flacco at quarterback, who had one of the finest seasons in FCS history and, in fact, got national honors because of it. He's a quarterback as opposed to the running backs that I just mentioned. Again, the question, how does the complexion of a team change when a player like that graduates or is lost or whatever, and now you have to have a new plan moving into the next season?
Sure. Well, you have to replace both who they are in some way and what they can do. Tom Flacco, the moment he stepped on campus, was an automatic leader. It's who he is. His presence was impressive without trying to be. His communication was clear and defined, and you knew damn well you better do what he said. Tom called me out. Like, he's that much of a competitor. And that's a huge hole. Sans the stats, that's a huge hole to fill. So we're going to miss that before I miss his ability to run all over the yard and throw it everywhere he wants. You know, I could say this, he and Shane Leatherberry. I mean, Tom's, as far as I know, Tom doesn't have a team yet, but I'm sure he'll be playing football somewhere. But Shane does. He's going to the Cardinals. And he was going to the Cardinals like 30 seconds after the draft. So I got to replace a whole bunch of points in those guys. The complexion and complexity of a team changes constantly. We had an idea. We were an explosive offense going into camp last year. By the third game of the season, we had 6 guys with career or season-ending injuries, most of them on offense. Every one of them was either a starter or a full-time contributor. The entire complexity of the team changed by week 3. Mm-hmm. Who we were coming out of camp wasn't who we were on October 1st. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's coaching. Anybody can line up you get all the nice, cool chess pieces and go. And look, you're better than everybody else's chess pieces. It's the real coaching when you lose 6 guys for the year and 11 guys total for most of the year. And all those guys were the starters and the old guys. So thoroughly impressed by coaching staff and the kids and their adaptability after that. But it's just what you do. So now we go, okay, we don't have a starter quarterback, so there's going to be competition. There'll be competition from inside and out. But the core of the team, I'm returning almost all linemen on both sides of the ball. I've never done that in my entire career. That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And winning and losing starts there. So if you're returning those guys and they have been successful and now they're experienced, and because of a couple injuries, there's guys behind them, that's a warm, fuzzy feeling. Like, I got a whole bunch of big guys I'm going to go to war with. We'll figure out the rest of it.
Let me just jump in and follow up on Gary's question. Quarterback position. Now, I've heard tell that you have a fairly significant transfer coming to school. Does that mean, and I've watched this when you've gotten sort of big names from out of town, and it doesn't always work out. Tell us a little bit about this player.
It's a young man named Jake Constantine. Last stop was at Weber State, which is he's been a playoff team for the last 2 years. I believe he was the conference player of the year at one point. He's from Southern California, went to Boise straight out of high school. Saw that he was going to be sitting behind basically an NFL starter for a couple of years, and went to junior college, then went to Weber. He's looking for a challenge. He likes the CAA. He likes our style of ball. To be honest, he wants to be a football coach when he grows up, and he knows I'm the son of a football coach.
That's a great story.
So when I challenged him a little about being Southern California soft, you're looking to see how they respond.
Yeah.
You wanted to see him punch you in the mouth, right?
So to speak.
Started smiling. When you insult somebody a little bit,
Yeah.
they smile, that tells you a lot about them.
Yeah.
So Jake and I spent some time together. I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far. I know he has some skills. He's a winner. He's like 24-6 or 26-4 in 2 years at Weber. So very impressive young man. And I think he's a great addition to the Tiger family.
Does he automatically move up the depth chart to number one, or it's a wide open battle now?
You don't get hit. The only thing you get handled in my program is the ball if you're a tailback. No, it's going to be, he knows he's here to compete. He knows who he's going to compete against. I got some talented guys that play in the position of quarterback. Not all of them are as experienced as him. And we're going to let him fight it out. And we did the same thing 2 years ago when Tom got here, and Tom ended up taking control. If Jake comes in and wins a job, the program got better. If Jake comes in and he pushes guys and they beat him out, the program got better.
Yeah.
Jake Constantine's going to help this program get better.
Gary, one more from you, and then I got one to.
Yeah, Rob, let me go go a little bit to the left of football for just a minute. And I asked this, and I really want to learn, because I think that we're in a situation right now in this country where I think everybody needs to learn and everybody needs to listen. And I want to talk about the young men that make up your football team. You said that in a week or a couple of weeks, you're going to be welcoming 70 young men into the campus at Towson University to start summer practice. And I know you've Zoomed with them and talked with them and done all that over the last few months. But I would like to learn through you what the demeanor of your football team is like through this racial unrest. So let me ask you point blank. Are your young men angry? Are they open? Is it easy for them to talk? What do they talk about? Maybe I can learn something from those conversations that you could tell us.
Most of the answers to your question would have been yes. Yes, they are angry. A large portion of them are. As a matter of fact, probably all of them are, and rightly so. And I think that Gary, I think you hit it dead on. That this is a time that is unlike any other that I have read about or lived through. That I believe that this is a time of change. It truly is. My dad taught me, and this is when that young man was knelt upon and died. That changed me in a way that I don't think I can quite put to words, and I'm pretty good with words. And I told my team that. They know me for the most part. They knew I grew up as a really, really poor kid in the country, and education and athletics got my ass out of there. And thank you for my parents. And I come from nothing. I come from food stamps, and I never could understand some of this stuff because I came up hard. I came overcome a ton, and God help me, anybody. If you call me a racist, you're probably, it makes you look like the dumbest human being on the planet, really. But what I've come to understand is it's not good enough. It's not. And I told my kids this, that I've learned. I didn't get it. I really didn't. Until I grew up and I had a child of my own and realized that the young men that I have been helping my entire life have had to go through situations of which I would help them with. But when I had a son, I didn't have to have the conversations with him that their parents had to have with them.
Right.
My son doesn't need the protection that those kids need. And granted, I would always give it to him, but I wouldn't think twice about it. And I told him as much. I told him that I might have been okay. I'm not good enough. I didn't listen well enough. I'm not a good enough ally. I haven't learned enough. And I need to get better. I need to get better. And it's not good enough to be good. If you see, how many times have I said, if you see it and you know it's wrong, then you got to go fix it. So that's where the dialogue starts. And I told him, after seeing this and what has happened to some young men here in the protest, I'm never going to, looting, rioting, all that crap. No, I'm not it. No, I'm not for any of that. But this is what you do. You protest. My dad's the one that told me that athletes are what kept the country together in the 60s, because we know how to be together. We care about who we are inside more than we ever care about what we look out on the outside. We got a goal. We want to win. Us in the military. I mean, it's basically it. That really is it. The fact that we're doing it now, that my dad lived through that as a player, and that I'm having to fight the fight that was fought in the 60s, really just drives me. I told my kids as much. I lost it. I really did. I said, there's only one rule. You want to protest? We're going to protest. Damn right we're going to protest. I'm going to march with you. That's the rule. You got to go. If you want to go, you go with me. And the difference is I'm standing in front. If it's going to get nuts, I'm standing in front, and they're going through me to get to my kids. And let them do that on national TV to me.
Great question by Gary Stein. Great answer, Coach Rob Ambrose. It makes what I'm going to ask you now look a little ridiculous, but
I'm sorry.
but that's me. That's okay.
Never.
Your first game this season is against Mike Locksley, or supposedly going to be against Mike Locksley, I think on September 5th. You've known Mike a long time. And again, I judged you early in your career when you were 9-33 as a head coach. Mike Locksley, on the face of it, when you look at his win-loss total out in New Mexico and his one season at Maryland, is not a winning football coach. Do you have any doubts that he'll get the job done at the University of Maryland, given that you've seen some good people, Ron Vanderlinden, Mark Duffner, Randy Etzel, you name it, been about 6 of them there that haven't been able to get the job done since Bobby Ross.
Ralph Friedgen.
Yep, except Ralph. Yeah.
And then, hold on, but that's a good draw. I'm going to tell you that being the head football coach at Maryland is a challenge.
Yeah.
It is. It comes with challenges that don't get discussed, and I don't have the job, so I don't have to worry about it. But I've watched that happen. I've watched the politics of that job happen, and the only people that have been successful at that place are the ones that were personally invested in the institution and the area in which the institution lies. Now, Ralph Friedgen was thoroughly invested, and he knew the place.
Yeah.
So is Mike. Mike has coached with, for, and against some of the greatest coaches that have ever coached college football. I don't have any doubt in my mind whatsoever that he's going to get that done. Now, just like everything, it takes some time. It really does. It takes some time. But I think it can be done. I think Mike can do it in a way that it will get done and it will be sustainable.
Mike, Rob Ambrose, many thanks for joining us. I said
Awesome.
Mike because I was thinking about
Thank you.
Mike Locksley. Great questions, Gary. Really appreciate it here on the Zoom video interview. Appreciate it. Thank
Glad
you.
to do it, guys. As always, can't
Rob,
wait to
you're the best.
Thanks, Gary.